Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Slay. Hey everyone, my name's Amy, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be going through all of the books that I read in autumn or fall. So the first book that I started off the lovely autumn season with was one of my 5-star reads of this year. This is actually probably one of my 6-star books, to be honest, because I loved every second of this. That is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So Malibu Rising is about 4 siblings. It was only set over like a 24 hour period, but you got so much more than just those hours. You get 4 different POVs in this one as well, so all 4 siblings. You not only find out about the kids growing up and their lives and who they are now as adults, kind of them navigating their like early 20s, like even childhood. You also find out about the parents, so specifically their mum. This book was absolutely phenomenal. The characters were all so relatable but all so flawed at the same time. You go back into the past a lot, you find out why they are the way they are, who they are. The relationships that these 4 siblings have are just absolutely phenomenal. They all connect in such different ways and they are all so different. I found this so incredible and I just loved the family dynamic between everyone in this, but also them still having their own personalities at the same time. So the next book that I picked up was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This book, I actually started the audiobook for it and then I ended up picking up my physical copy because I own the physical copy as well. I didn't love this book. So we follow our main character Mariana as she is a group therapist. Her niece Zoe goes to college and about a month ago a young girl was found dead around Zoe's college campus and they end up finding out that that girl was Zoe's roommate. So Mariana goes out to Zoe to try and comfort her and just make sure she's doing okay and whatnot after all of this. And then you start to kind of see all these characters that are a little bit questionable kind of pop up, and Mariana kind of takes it on herself to figure out exactly what's going on. There is a massive plot twist in the end that I did not see coming. I found that this book followed Mariana and her character and her grief through losing her late husband and all of these things way more prominent in the book than the actual mystery itself. So I would say that this is not so much a thriller mystery, it's kind of also more a character study if anything. So I think I was kind of let down in that aspect because I just thought it was going to be straight up mystery thriller and it was not, but I still really enjoyed this. So following this I was in a real like mystery thriller kind of kick, and I ended up picking up One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. So we follow our 5 main characters who all end up in detention at the very beginning of the book. And before detention ends, one of them called Simon dies. Now the police kind of ruled this as not exactly an accident, so the investigation's kind of kept open and these 4 other students that were in detention with Simon are kind of under investigation. I didn't enjoy it. I rated this book 2.5 stars. I didn't like the characters, which kind of makes sense because they're the main like suspects in this investigation. But even after everything kind of concluded, I just did not like the story. The ending just made me so upset and frustrated and I was like, is this really all it led up to? Like, so next up I read Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I quite enjoyed this book actually. I think it was quite a good, light-hearted, academic rivals to lovers YA romance. So in this book we are following our main character Rowan. It is their final day of senior year and essentially what happens is they do a 24-hour game. They do a really long game of Assassin, which essentially you get someone else's name and then it's your job to kill them or assassinate them essentially by, I think you take like their piece of paper or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but Rowan and her academic nemesis Neil team up to take down as many people as they can so that they can win the cash prize at the end. Slowly along the way obviously they get to know each other and things kind of unfold from there. I found the main character Rowan to be quite selfish and not like rude, but a little bit rude. She very much seems to put most of her needs above other people's own and doesn't really like step outside of herself to see what other people could be going through. So I gave this one a 4 stars. I probably actually rate it more like a 3.75. I really like the storyline and I enjoyed most of this book. I think the main character being so like selfish and kind of mean didn't really like make me love it. Yeah. So next up I read Lore Olympus Volume 2 by Rachel Smith. Why did I look? Nothing's there. So this is a graphic novel and I read the first one last year and I'm kind of slowly going through them and borrowing them from my library. And I really enjoy the art style of these graphic novels. I think it's really beautiful. I really enjoy how pretty much each goddess has like a signature color that they kind of like are represented by. This one I rated at 3 stars. Not too much plot wise happened in this volume, so it wasn't my favorite thing to read, but it also only took me like an hour and a half, so I'm so excited to talk about this. Next up I read one of my 5-star reads, and that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This book was absolutely phenomenal. So this is the second book in the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, the first one being Six of Crows, which is very popular on BookTube and BookTok. I have never enjoyed a second book in a series so much compared to the first, other than The Call of Mr. Fury. Let's not forget that. This book was so phenomenal. The characters were just incredible and you find out so much more about them in this second book, moving on from the first one. So much more of their backstory comes out. You meet Wyland and it's just... The ending of this had me sobbing. I was crying for a solid 10 minutes. The characters, the plot, everything just pushed this book forward so well. Halfway through it, things just kind of started like unfolding and like unraveling, and it was just like there was so much left of the book. What the heck could happen? But so much happens and it just, oh my god, everything comes to a complete tidy little bow at the very end and it's just so satisfying. I love this book so much. Please, if you have not read this duology, please go read it. It's so good. Following Crooked Kingdom, I ended up reading King of Scars, also by Leigh Bardugo, which is another kind of spin-off in this same universe. Although these books are kind of connected, they're not really connected. Like you can definitely read these all on their own if you don't want to read that duology or if you don't want to read this duology. This book was also a 5-star read. I loved it so much. Leigh Bardugo's writing is just absolutely fantastic and her characters in this series and just in this universe are amazing. The events in this book take place after the Six of Crows duology, but you again don't have to read that one to understand what's going on in this one. So this book centers around Nikolai and Zoya, who are phenomenal characters. Again, I can't really talk about the events that take place in this one because it follows the previous books in the universe. The amount of banter and sass and wit that comes out of both of these characters is just outstanding. I am diehard fans of both of them and I love them so much. I have yet to read the sequel, Rule of Wolves, but it is on my shelves downstairs waiting for me to read it. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of space between reading this and that, just so I could like soak up all the love and joy that I found in this one. Next up I read Throttled by Lauren Asher on my Kindle. Slay. So Throttled is the first book in the Dirty Air series. There are 4 books in that series in total. So the Dirty Air series actually follows a bunch of F1 drivers and kind of their love stories, which is really cute. So the first book focuses on Noah and Maya. Noah is an F1 driver for one of the F1 teams. Noah's new teammate is Santiago and Maya happens to be Santiago's sister. So obviously she's off limits. She is a no-go. Maya has just graduated from college and Santi has invited her to kind of follow him and travel with him. I didn't particularly enjoy the writing per se in this book. I enjoyed the plot and the characters, and I think the family connection between Maya and Santiago was really wonderful. Noah's character does kind of warm up throughout the book and I really enjoyed seeing him open up and his character kind of develop a little bit. Along with Maya, she kind of finds who she is and gets more confident, and just the confidence that she kind of finds in herself throughout this book is quite amazing. There was one point where Noah did seem a little bit stalkerish, I'm not gonna lie. So that kind of like gave me a bit of an ick, but other than that, I rated this book a 3.5 stars, and it was a good time, but it wasn't my favourite time. So next up I read Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. Now this was one of the first books that I actually was like hardcore like tabbing and annotating. Which I had quite a lot of fun with actually, and I kind of like matched my tabs to the cover and all that kind of stuff. It was really fun. This one you follow two main characters, Mackenzie and Cooper, and both of their POVs, which is great, love that. Mackenzie is a trust fund girly who's just started college, kind of near to where Cooper lives, and Cooper comes from a really close-knit kind of small town that's by the beach, and everyone knows everyone. He's at work one night, some rich dude from the local university that Mackenzie goes to, he tries making advances on one of the waitresses at Cooper's work, and she says no, and this guy Preston does not listen. So obviously Cooper takes it into his own hands to kind of protect this other waitress, and then ends up getting fired. So to get back at this guy, they end up finding out that Preston has a girlfriend who is actually Mackenzie. And Cooper's plan is to get revenge by stealing her, just to let Preston know that he can't have everything in the world that he wants. As the book goes along and unfolds, you find out that Mackenzie's not really like all of these other people that she kind of surrounds herself with, or has had to surround herself with, I guess, coming from the societies and the community that she does. Slowly over the course of the book, the two of them get to know each other really well, and things kind of unfold from there. The ending of this book and the way everything kind of wrapped up was not my favourite. I feel like it should have been fleshed out a little bit more. I gave this book a 3.5 stars just because it was enjoyable, but I feel like there could have been so much more put into this. Following that book, I read the book that comes after it, Bad Girl Reputation by Elle Kennedy as well. This book I enjoyed a little bit more than I enjoyed Good Girl Complex, so this one I rated a 3.75 to 4 stars. This book follows Evan, who is Cooper's brother, twin brother to be specific, who is the MMC from the last book. Evan has some history with this girl called Genevieve, or Jen for short, and at the beginning of the book, Jen returns to Avalon Bay, which is where they're from, for her mother's funeral. She basically ditched town about a year ago, not telling anyone why, just kind of up and left, and she and Evan kind of had a back and forth, on and off sort of relationship for most of high school and a lot of their early adult years. So she kind of broke his heart a little bit. So this book follows Jen and Evan as they're kind of figuring out where they kind of stand with each other, what they want, what they're looking for. And Genevieve is trying to shed this like bad girl reputation that she has. She comes back for her mum's funeral and ends up staying to help out her dad kind of with reception stuff, which is what her mum used to do. It's quite a good story. The character development in this is quite good. I will say that Evan's kind of a little bit unreasonable at some points. He just doesn't fully understand what's going on in Jen's head, but at the same time she doesn't really explain it fully to him either. This book I rated a 3.75 stars. The next book that I ended up finishing was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. I don't have my physical copy on me because I am lending it to my best friend at the moment because she's like in the series. This book actually took me so long to read. Like so long. I started this book in February. So I ended up putting this book down for, how long was it? It must have been about 2 months. I just got to maybe the 400 page mark and I was so bored. I think the reason why there was such a long break between me starting this book and finishing it is because it just did not compare to A Court of Mist and Fury. Character wise was perfect, stunning, amazing, just chef's kiss. But the actual plot, there just wasn't enough going on for me to like grip my attention. So I put it down for a while and I was kind of like intimidated by picking it back up again for a few weeks because it is a big book. It is almost 700 pages long. I finally kind of said to myself, look, just pick it up, read it 1 chapter a day. That's all I'm asking, which I started doing. And I think I just needed to get over that little like hump of like not much plot happening to get to the rest of it, because the rest of it was so good. And then there was one day, it was one Friday where I just sat down and read like 300 pages. I just finished that book. I ate the rest of that story up. It was so good. I rated this one a 4 stars because I just had that little hump where I was just like, I can't read this. I really, really, really recommend picking up this series. It is so, so good. So do not let what I said about the plot of Wings and Ruin kind of slumping a little bit at the 400 page mark deter you from reading it. It is phenomenal. Obviously, following Wings and Ruin, I read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas as well, which is just a little novella. There's just so many cute, wholesome scenes in this novella. It's just so heartwarming and it made me smile so much. One of my favourite scenes was the snowball fight scene. If you know, you know. I actually giggled. I out loud giggled when I read that. It was so cute. A little bit of this does kind of set the stage for like the next book, which is Silver Flames. I have not read that book yet, so don't say anything. Zip it. We do get POVs from pretty much every character in the found family, at least in this book, and I really, really, really enjoyed getting into other people's heads. It was just so interesting. I think my favourite POV though is Rhysand's. That man, take me right now. Take me away. This one I actually did rate a 5 stars. I really, really did enjoy it. And I know a lot of people don't really rate novellas too highly typically, but this one just captured a little piece of my heart and melted it. So next up I read Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. This book, I really, really enjoyed it actually. So we follow our main character Millie, who is from America, and she decides to go and do her senior year of high school in a boarding school in Scotland. So she gets into this boarding school and turns out her roommate is the Scottish royal princess. So we follow Millie as she's kind of figuring out this school and Scotland and meeting all these people. From the very beginning, Flora, the princess, does not like Millie. She kind of just acts like she's just there for a short time and then she's gonna get kicked out. Like, she is not having it. And nor is Millie. The banter between these two before they kind of finally connect is just phenomenal. And then every year, about a month or so into the school year, there is a challenge where you're teamed up with your roommate, you get dropped into the middle of the wilderness or like the Scottish forest. You have like backpacks and you have gear and stuff, but it's your job to find and track your way back to the boarding school. Something kind of happens while these two are on their hike back to the school and they end up connecting a little bit more and having more in common than they realise. This book ended so abruptly. That is the only other thing that I did not like. It ended so abruptly. I full thought there was going to be like another chapter or two, and then there wasn't. And I was like, oh. So I rated this book a 3.75 stars. The characters were really great and I really enjoyed the plotline and the story. I think the ending was just so abrupt that it kind of like startled me almost, and I was expecting so much more out of the end. But yeah, really enjoyed this book. I would recommend picking it up. It is a YA romance, so do with that information what you will. Yes. The second last book that I read in the season of autumn/fall was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, which it happened. So this book is about Alicia Benson, who is in an asylum and she has not said a word in about 6 or so years. The reason she stopped talking is because she shot her husband. So in this book we follow our main character Theo, who is a psychiatrist, or psychiatrist. He gets a job at the Grove, which is where Alicia is being kept, because he's very, very intrigued to find out more about her and get her talking. The plot twist at the end of this book, it did blow my mind, yes, but I didn't really enjoy this book for any other reason than finding out like why she stopped talking and what actually happened. I think the writing was good and the characters were quite intriguing and they had lots of layers to them, but like there was just something that I did not like about this, and I literally can't put my finger on it. But again, like I said, the plot twist and the way this is written is genius. For that reason, I gave this book a 3 stars, maybe a 2.5. To finish up the season and the month of May, I reread one of my ultimate favourite books. This book is one of my comfort reads. I love it so, so much. I first read this book last year, probably around the same time. It was around June maybe. I read it on my Kindle back then, and then I found that they had paperback copies in Dimmicks one day, and I just could not resist myself. So I bought a copy. I annotated the crap out of this thing. The amount of tabs that are coming out of this is kind of ridiculous, but I don't care. I love it so much. And that is The Italian Job by Catherine Freeman. This book has my heart and soul. I love it so, so much. The characters are amazing. This book follows our 2 main characters, Anna and Jake. So at the beginning of the story, Anna has recently quit her job and broken up with her boyfriend because she found out that he was cheating on her. Her ex-boyfriend also owns all of the restaurants that she could have worked in this town, and also the restaurant that she was working in as well. So she's living at her dad's place again. Her dad is so sweet. I love her dad so much. And then her bad boy next door neighbor Jake happens to be visiting his mum. And we find out that Jake is an ex-con. He has served about 6 months in prison and has been out for about 2. So he's done his sentence, like it's all done and dusted. But because of that title of being an ex-con, no one really wants to hire him. So he can't get his old job back at the firehouse. He's just kind of doing odd bits here and there, like handyman work for people, just kind of for cash in hand. And that's just all he can kind of get. That's all he can swing at the moment. Anna is trying really, really hard to find something that she wants to do, that she's passionate about, but she can't find anything kind of reasonable or worth her time until she Googles dream jobs. And she finds a job listing for a couple to run a castle in Italy on Lake Como. Now, Anna being a chef and knowing that she could like manage this castle and kind of this property, she is super intrigued by this and thinks it would be a fantastic role for her, and asks the recruitment company if they are absolutely after a couple or if she can kind of do it solo, and they want a couple dead set. So she ends up bargaining with Jake to pretend to be a couple and fake date so that they can get this job in Italy. And obviously it kind of happens because you find out in like the first few chapters of the book that they end up getting it. And the 2 of them move to Italy, Lake Como. They don't really like each other, but there's just this like attraction that just keeps pulling them together. And this book is just fantastic. I love it so much. If you're going to read a book out of all of these, this would be one of the ones that I would say please read. Please, please read. Oh my god. This is easily in my 6-star tier. I love it so, so much. As you can see, I have so many tabs in it. I'm pretty sure every like 3 pages or something like that, I have highlighted a quote or something. It's just phenomenal. I could cry over this book. I probably will in a second if I don't start talking about it, but I love this. 6 stars. Alrighty everyone, that is all of the books that I read in the autumn/fall season for 2023. If you've read any of these and you love them or don't love them, please comment down below. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me if there's any that you haven't read and that you're really intrigued to read. I would really be keen to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!